Ride or die. Cold, these brothers my guys. Know that they fly. Know that they fly. Know that they ride or die. CJ Ike, they ain't no longer about. They ain't no longer about. They ain't no longer about. CJ Ike, they ain't no longer about. Know that they ride or die. Know that they ride or die. I keep waving my seat. Know that they ride or die. I keep waving my baby hustle, bust the line. Waving my seat. Know that they ride or die.
Hello, cousin. I am Uncle Mike, your favorite uncle. Your favorite YouTuber's favorite uncle. I am out of practice here because I haven't live streamed for a while. We took Voyager out and did a little camping in real life. But I figured I needed to get back into the cockpit here. So we are going to be doing a flight from 29 Palms, California over to John Wayne Municipal, also in California on the coast there. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. It's kind of marginal weather here, and I'll be showing you that here real soon. But first, let's go ahead and get some NOTAMs and notifications and announcements and all this out of the way. First, I'm still running my 500 subscriber giveaway for a $50 Xbox gift code. You can go down the description below and check out the official rules of that giveaway. Also, I am now live streaming in the evenings, and in past live streams I've talked about that. So I haven't really come up with a schedule yet. So as of right now, it's kind of been, I think I've done it on a Monday and now here on a Thursday and all of that. So yeah. And then if you're watching this as after live, if you're watching it recorded, then please click that like button if you do. Subscribe if you haven't. Comment, share, come join me in chat in a future live stream. And with that, let's go ahead and game on. And so here we are in drone view at 29 Palms Airport in California. We are going to be flying the Cessna 310. So here we go, the Cessna 310. She is ready to go and started and all of that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, we're going to do a flight out to the west, out to the coast. We got some mountains, as you can see. We've got some, it's kind of marginal weather here, but we're going to do some old school IFR using VORs and shooting the ILS approach. And so, yeah, it's I think it's going to be a real good flight. And so with that, let's go ahead and jump into the cockpit. You can see that we've got some pretty ominous looking weather here off to the east. So we'll see how that transpires as we head west and see what we want to do. But let's go ahead and make sure we got all the pressure and gauges and everything. The pressure is set, and it is. So everything's looking good there. Now, if you're interested in this, let me go ahead and come over here and let's talk about our route tonight. So here is our route on Sky Vector. And so what we are going to be doing is right now we are over here on the right side of the map here. I'll just zoom in. We're at 29 Palms right here. We're going to be taking off on runway 8. We're going to be heading here to the east. And what we're going to do is we're going to climb out. We're going to go ahead and climb out to this VOR. We're going to intercept that VOR, and then on the 231 radial outbound on Victor 370. And then we're going to head down here to, oops, I didn't want to do that. We're going to head down here to Palm Springs, intercept that VOR, make a little bit of a right turn, and then head west, cross over March base here, and then into the Paradise VOR, and then from the Paradise VOR here, then we are going to intercept the ILS, make a left turn, and then come in here because I'm not really sure about the weather. So that is going to be our plan here. I'll go ahead and leave that up in case we need to circle back to it here. So let's go ahead and jump back into the cockpit because we've got some things to do here in the cockpit. One of the things that we need to do is I need to dial in the 29 Palms VOR, and it is 114.2. So we're going to come over here. We're going to dial in 114.20 and go ahead and switch it over to the active. Then the VOR, the next VOR is Palm Springs at 115.5. So 115.50. We'll go ahead and dial that and go ahead and get that in the active here. But then what I'm also going to do is go ahead and dial 115.5 as standby in nav 1. And then after that, Paradise is 112.2. So I'm going to dial that in and stand by here. All right, so there is now all of our nav frequencies, and we're doing this old school. So this is not any type of, we don't, as you can see the panel here, we don't have GPS and all of this. It is all old school VOR navigation and DME and all of this kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure that we've got everything cycled here. Everything's looking good. 114.2. Yep, 115.5 down there, so everything's looking good. When we take off here, it's going to be just a slight right turn to head direct to the 29 Palms VOR. All right, some other things that we can do. We are going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and bug the autopilot to 8,000 feet. So there's bugged at 8,000 feet. That's going to be our cruise altitude. So 8,000 feet. We're going to be taking off on runway 8. So I'm going to go ahead on the heading here. We're almost pointing directly the way we're going to take off. I'm going to go ahead and get that dialed in. We're not picking up the VOR because there's probably some, we just need a little bit more height before we pick it up. So everything's looking good there. And so now we are going to get ready to taxi. Here is our really cool Cessna 310. And so let's go ahead now and start our taxi. Let's go out to runway 08. So we're just going to make a 180 here on the ramp. I am on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 on the Xbox Series X. So we're going to go ahead and taxi on out here. There we go. Let's go ahead and check our views we have set up. We got kind of out the engine there. So there's that one too. So we're going to go ahead. What we're going to do is we're going to set up basically an instrument view. So right here is what we're going to set up. So now we can go ahead and check the views again. So kind of out the window there, and then we've got instrument view. Everything's looking good. I like it. And just go ahead and make sure we got already turned on some of the instrument, the dash lights and all that kind of stuff, because we got a little bit of, like I said, a lot of weather here, so it's kind of blocking out the sun for us. We need just a little bit of lights here in the cockpit to be able to really see. So all right, coming up here on the runway here, we're not going to go ahead and do a run up and all that. We're going to not play it like, oh, what do you want to call it, study level flight here. Even though this sim, the Cessna 310, you can actually set it up. It's really cool. You can actually set it up for failures. I've flown this aircraft and I've had an engine failure, and some other failures here, so alternator failure and all that. So there's a lot of neat things that they've done with this payware aircraft that you can get here. So here we go, coming up. So I see 268. We're gonna come up right here, come to a stop, make sure we've got everything dialed in that we want. I'm pretty sure that it looks like direct is going to be almost like 090, so I'm going to go ahead and dial that in here. It's almost heading, so I'm just going to go ahead and dial that in the course down there. So yeah, I think we're pretty much ready to go. I got everything bugged. 8,000 feet is going to be our cruising altitude. Don't see any traffic. And so away we go. Brake coming off, engines coming in. Cessna 310 is one of my favorite looking aircrafts. Alright, and it flies really well. Alright, like I said, we've got some marginal weather here. We're going to probably be in and out of the clouds at 8,000 feet, because this looks like we've got the bases of those clouds are only like maybe 3,000 feet or something. So, but they're scattered and all that, so looking good in the neighborhood. Alright, let's go ahead and bring in some power. Make sure everything's looking good over there on the instruments. I like what I see. Little power, let the RPMs come up, and brakes are coming off. Full throttle. Let's go ahead and get some trim set in here. And airspeed's alive. 70 knots. Red line 80 knots. 90 knots. A little rotate here. And gears coming up. Get those gear up in those twin engines. And up we go, and the VOR is alive. Go ahead and slowly make this turn here. Pitch for that blue line. Everything's looking good. Trim is really nice and set. And now we'll just head out here toward the VOR, 29 Palms VOR. Climb it up to 8,000 feet. Alright, looking good. I'm going to come back on the power, get into cruise power here. So, 24, and going to come back on the prop. There we go. Just get to a nice climb here. Trim. 7 miles out, we got DME. You can see the DME down, well, yep, down there in the bottom left. So 6.7 miles, 6.6 miles here to 29 Palms VOR. I am hand flying. Autopilot is not on. We got really nice trimmed up. Add a little bit of aileron trim here in this girl. Then on our plane here, then we need to head out to 29 Palms on 231. So we're gonna use this to climb up, get some for terrain avoidance. Definitely don't want to smash into anything. Unless we're recreating a smash flight. Just over blue line, so we're good there in case we have an engine out. At 24 by 24 roughly on the climb. 24 inches of manifold pressure, 2,400 RPMs. And we're just coming up on 5 miles out here. Let's go ahead and see here. So somewhere right out there off the nose is the actual VOR station on the ground. Everything is looking good in the neighborhood. Alright, I like what we got. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the autopilot here. So autopilot is coming on. I'm going to go ahead and should lock on to what I had, the kind of the climb and the pitch there, and it has. Alright, so once we come up here to the VOR, again, we're going to need to head, or heading of 231 on that Victor 370. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this to 231. There we go, 231. We're 3 miles out, we're in a nice climb. Above blue line. Got a nice climb going. Got some weather here. Like I said, we're going to be in and out of the weather. That's why this is kind of like a marginal IFR. I mean, it looks, you know, it looks pretty ominous out there. Passing through 4,500, going to 8,000. Somewhere that could be the actual VOR station right down there on the ground. 1.8 miles ahead of us, so yeah, somewhere, probably that's it, probably right there. So what we're gonna do here is when we get to 1 mile, we're at 1.5 miles out. Still on our climb, everything's looking good. As we climb up, add a little bit more throttle. We're losing them a little bit below blue line here, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell the autopilot, don't climb so steep here. Keep that speed up. All right, we're within 1 mile here, so I'm going to go ahead heading mode on the autopilot, and we're going to go ahead and turn to our 231. We need to intercept that radial outbound 231. That's probably the VOR right down there below us there. That building right there. And there we go. We just passed right over the radial there. You can see the needle flopped over to the other side as now we're outbound. Alright, so we're going to need to intercept that. So I'm going to go a little bit, just like the needle says, we're going to go a little bit to the right. We're going to intercept our outbound Victor 370 airway, which is radial 231 out here at 29 Palms VOR. Again, climbing up to 8,000 feet, everything is looking good. A little bit more throttle. Go ahead and tell the autopilot again, still don't climb so high, maybe about 500 feet per minute here. Everything is looking good. So we are now climbing out. So away over here, out over there is 29 Palms Airport where we took off from. We're basically going to be passing it again. Here comes our needle. So if I go into this view, you can see the yellow needle right here, centering. Everything's looking good. So yeah, we'll need to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and I see the sound here for the airplane. I'm gonna back this off here a little bit for you so it's not, the airplane's not so loud. And our needle's almost centered. I'm gonna go ahead and go in nav mode on the autopilot. And so there she goes, giving us that nice turn. Everything is looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and center the heading bug. Everything's looking good. Sound on the Elgato might be a little still high, so I'm going to go ahead and back that off for our flight. There we go, looking good. Still climbing out, 6,300, 500 feet per minute, right at blue line speed. So let's go ahead and climb about 300 feet per minute. Get above that blue line there in case we have that engine out. And now we are climbing out here. So climbing out, the VOR is behind us. Out over here at 2 o'clock, you can see the airport just above the nose. There's where we took off from. And now we are climbing out to 8,000 feet. Looking good here. Gonna go ahead and give us inch those props for us. We're at 23 by 25. Give us a few more knots in the climb. So we are just climbing out here. Everything is looking good. I like what we see. Look out the wing there, those big old fuel tanks out there. Beautiful. Just beautiful. What a beautiful airplane. All right, so now you can see that we've got DME here. If we come down here, we can actually see this is the second for nav 2. So if we set that also to 231, And there's 231. You can see that it basically is centered also. So that's a backup. Because now we are heading right towards. So what we're going to do here is we are actually going to go ahead and go on heading mode on the autopilot, and we're going to come over here. We're going to switch over to the Palm Springs VOR. And what we're going to do here is we want to be on that 231 Victor 370. So we want to make sure that this is set to 231. So let's go ahead and right there, that's almost exactly 231 right there. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and on heading mode, just come a little right to center our needle there. And once that needle gets centered, then I'll go back on nav mode. So we're right on that Victor 370 because we're going to have some terrain. Beeping is 1,000 feet to go. We're at 7,000. We're getting a little slow here. So I'm going to go ahead and level off here at 7,100 feet. Because we are slow in the climb. I'm also going to go ahead and come back on the mixture. That'll give us even some more RPMs. And we're at 7,000 feet, so we can probably come back pretty far. Oh, I've heard a drop of RPM, so I'm gonna give it a little bit more, oomph. There we go. All right, looking good here. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and rebug for 8,000. I want to get to 8,000. Alright, just a nice easy climb here to 8,000 now. Nothing crazy. Oh, we can kind of keep our speed. Got a little bit below blue line there. That's a little dangerous because you get below blue line speed, have an engine out, you can't maintain altitude, so. Well, it looks like we got some weather here. We're pretty much kind of VFR right now, but we'll go ahead and go do this old school IFR flight using VORs and all that. I am going to go ahead and over here on Sky Vector, kind of follow along. So now if you look, we have got 23 miles here before we get, 23 and a half miles before we get to Palm Springs VOR. Like I said, this is just this nice climb here. I can go a little bit, I think. We need to go 700 feet, so do that. They'll take us a little over 2 minutes here to climb up to 700. Climb up that 700 feet to 8,000. That's where we're going. 8,000 feet here for our cruise. Because we've got some mountains and stuff, and so we're going to really need to be fairly strict on the old airways. Because if we're not strict on the airways, then we could run into a mountain. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to run into no mountains, so we're going to be pretty strict here on our VOR, on our airways and our radials and all that kind of stuff. So again, what are we looking at right here? This is what we're looking at. So we're inbound over here on the right of the map, coming down Victor 370 to Palm Springs. That's what we are doing right now. So back in the cockpit here. We got some weather here. Still in heading mode. I can come a little bit more to the right because I want to be on those radials because again, you can see we got some terrain here, and so I do not want to really deviate from that terrain and smash into a mountain. I actually made a little YouTube shorts recently about TWA Flight 3 that did out of Las Vegas, and so we don't want to out of Las Vegas or out of 29 Palms. So alright, I'm going to go ahead and come even more right here. I want to get on that radio, especially since it looks like we're about to enter some weather here. So I want to make sure that we get that. We're going to get 18 miles to go to Palm Springs. We're climbing up here nice and slow at 140 knots. Looks like we've probably got maybe some wind or something. That's why it's taking a little bit of time to center that needle, even though we've got this right deviation to center that needle. So everything is looking good in the neighborhood. All right, coming up, centering that needle here on the Victor 370 radio. Heading down here to Palm Springs. We are now IMC, Instrument Meteorological Conditions. All right, needle is coming centered. I really like that. That makes me feel a lot more comfortable. Not uberly comfortable, but still comfortable. I trust my gauges and all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and go on nav mode on the autopilot. And now let Otto, our German co-pilot here, go ahead and center us up and maintain that needle on the way down here to Palm Springs. Let's go ahead and center the heading bug. Keep with the heading bug. So we've got a little less than 15 miles before we get. And so you might be saying, well, how do I know 15 miles? Because I am looking at the DME right over here. That number right there, 14.3 nautical miles at 172 knots of ground speed. We got 5 minutes before we get there. So that is what I am looking at in case you are interested as I'm going. Because again, we don't have GPS and all that, you know, roving maps and all that kind of stuff that I was on modern avionics, which I like to do. Trust me, I like it. It's fun. But I also like the old school instrument, the steam gauges. So looking over, looks like the engines are all healthy. I like what we've got. Everything looks like in the green. And we're coming out of the car. Look at that. Look at that. That is spectacular for a console flight simulator. That is just amazing. Okay, so we need to come down here. We need to take a right turn to a heading of 260 on the Victor 372. So what I want to come down here is, so we need to be outbound on this heading of 260. So I'm going to go ahead and set this one to 260. That's the outbound. 115.5. So that's already dialed in right there. So now that is down there is set on the outbound. But what we'll do is when we come up here to Palm Springs VOR, same thing we did here, probably about a mile or two out, we'll go into heading mode on the autopilot. And that way we can reset this to also 260, make the turn under heading mode, that right turn, and then basically then reset our instruments and then see what we've got. And then now we need to be on Victor 372 for this one because we've got some terrain we're going to have to be worried about. And so let me go ahead and show you that. If I bring this up right here at Palm Springs, when we make this right turn, we're coming in from the right, we make this slight right turn to 260 on the radial 260 outbound. You can see that there is almost 11,000 foot tall mountain, but we're only at 8,000. So we need to stay on this airway so we miss these mountains right here. So at Palm Springs, so that's a concern if you want to say right there, but we'll be okay because we'll make this turn. We know what we're doing with our instruments and all that. We've got 7 miles to go before we get to the Palm Springs VOR. We need to make that right turn to heading 260. So what we could do is you could come over here on the heading bug. So if I come down here to show you, old school, man, I love this stuff, old school. If I come over here and then I go ahead and set the heading bug to 260. So then I can just come over here and I can hit my heading, and that should then, the plane should do an automatic turn to the right. And then we can do some fine adjustments. Once we're outbound. The plane's looking good. Here we are. Coming up into this Palm Springs area. Again, we got some clouds, we got some weather around us. We'll see how it's like when we get closer to John Wayne Airport on the coast. We'll see what the coast is like. But we're going to be getting into some clouds here right in front of us. So we've only got 3.6 miles here to the VOR. Probably might not be able to see the VOR here on this one. So we're at 8,000 feet but looks like Palm Springs Airport is at 476 feet. So, you know, what are we? We're about, you know, a mile and a half or so in the air above the ground. So the DME doesn't take that into account. So we could probably start our turn here pretty soon. So maybe we'll start making our turn at maybe at like 1.5 miles or something like that. So almost there. So we'll see how this all gets set up here. So there's 1.5 miles. So I'm going to go ahead and come over here and go on heading mode. And there goes the autopilot. We already preset for 260 because that's what we need to be outbound. So here we go. We're making the turn. Let's see if we can find the VOR itself. I kind of like to do that here on the aerial maps. I would imagine it's... Oh, there it is right below us. Look at that. Look at that. See that circle? That's the VOR. Right over the VOR. We're now heading 260. Alright, so now we need to go ahead and center our needle to also to 260. So there we go, 260. So it means we need to come to the left here to get that needle centered. So I'm going to come to 240 and let that needle, there goes that needle. You can see it centering now. Once it go ahead and it's centered, I'm going to go now back on nav mode, and now auto's going to make that turn and correct for us. And you can see I went a little bit far, and we're back into IMC conditions here. So we are now set squarely on our radio. It is programmed in. Let's go ahead and get that almost there we go, 260. That's like perfect right there. 260. I'm going to go ahead and center the heading bug too, right on what we want. There we go. So at 8,000 feet, engines look healthy. I like what we've got over here. Everything is looking good, except for we have some terrain in mountain conditions. So, what's up, Charvart? Hello. Yeah, we are flying from 29 Palms out in the desert of California, across the mountains, over to the coast, over here to, actually the town I think is Santa Ana. Yeah, Santa Ana. Over to John Wayne, Orange County Airport. That's what we are doing. And where we're at is we have just made this turn right here over on the right hand side of the map at this VOR at Palm Springs. And so now we are heading across the map here, heading 260. And as you can see, yep, cloudy in the clouds. So here we are in the just about to come out of the clouds here. Look at this. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's again. Oh, here's that mountain over here. So let's look at this. Yep, see? Well, at least we can actually see the mountain rather than boom. Let's go ahead and make sure everything's looking good. Needle is centered. We are now leaving Palm Springs. We're already 7.5 miles out of Palm Springs. All right, so now our next is Paradise. And we've already dialed that in right here at 112.20. So I'm going to go ahead and switch that over and see if this becomes live. And it does become live down here, which is good then, because basically for us then what that means is we're already picking up the next VOR. So at some point here we can actually go ahead and go back on heading mode and then switch our main navigation radio over to the next VOR, which is Paradise. So one of the other things that I'll need to do is I'll need to bring up the approach plate for us here. Runway ILS, runway 20 right. I'm going to go ahead and bring that up just so we have it. So what I have now done here is I have just so you can see, I have brought up the approach plate for the ILS runway 20 into John Wayne, Orange County Airport. Because that's what we want to do. Reviewing, we need to be down, looks like about 3,500 for the intercept at Sager intersection. All right, we are back in IMC, so we can't see those mountains now. Even if we go into the external view, we are... Oh, we're just about to come out of the clouds. Look at that. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that mountain right here. There's a mountain right there. See, that's why we wanted to be right on that airway. That 8,000 feet. Because there's a big old 11,000 foot mountain right there. And you can see that we're kind of just going up this valley right here. Heading straight west pretty much out here. Yeah, it's a beautiful scenery. It's a beautiful airplane. Yeah, everything's going good. Everything's good in the neighborhood. Instruments look good. Engines look good and healthy. So looking good here. Though we got a little bit. We've got, well, we can go ahead and do this. So let's go ahead and go heading mode. So now we're on heading mode. Now I can come over here and I can also switch this over to 112.2 and switch it over. And so now what we can do is we want to be on that. We still want to be on that. Oh. You got to remember to press the right bumper on here. So we got that still. So now what we can do is we can just go ahead and in heading mode just come just a little bit left. We need that. We want that needle center. So I'm just going to come a little left. Let that needle center, and then we can go ahead and go back on nav mode. But we're still at 8,000 feet. And so now we've got 38 miles to get to Paradise VOR. And so if you look at our navigation, we want that orange needle centered. So I'm going to come a little bit more to the left. And as that then orange needle centers, I'll go back on nav mode and let Otto, our German co-pilot, go ahead and so looking at the chart over here is what I'm looking at over here, and there it is. So once we're about, who knows, maybe about 10 miles or so out of Paradise, we will start our descent down to 3,500 feet to intercept for the approach into John Wayne Orange County Airport. So looking good. Look at that. The weather's cleared up. There's that big old mountain there at Palm Springs. Yeah, just beautiful. What a beautiful flight we've got going on there. Yep. We got a co-pilot. Got a co-pilot today. You can actually put in more passengers if you want. There's a whole bunch. This is a pretty sophisticated payware aircraft. So you can put in failures, and you got to like keep it clean or wash it, because as you fly it more, it'll get dirty. It's pretty sophisticated. So, but yeah, everything is looking good here. Our orange needle there is about to be centered. You can see it right there, about to be centered. Yeah, just beautiful. And so once that's centered, we're going to go ahead and go on nav mode. We are 31.8 miles out from Paradise VOR. Like I said, once we're 10 miles out from Paradise, you might be again saying, how do you know that? Because I'm looking at that number right there, 31.2. Right, 31. So that's what I'm looking at. That's our distance measuring equipment, DME, that's telling us that. And we're 180 knots over the ground, so we're booking it. We're doing real good here. Needle's coming up centered there. That orange needle is coming up centered. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the button and go into nav mode. So now Otto is in nav mode here. So he will go ahead and now probably make a little bit of a correction turn. There goes that little bit of a correction turn to keep that orange needle centered as we're heading right to Paradise VOR. Yeah. Yeah, there's some, like I said, there's some weather here. That's why we're doing this old school IFR flight. And we're about to get in the weather right off the nose here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start reviewing the approach plate here. So we're going to be coming in on the radial here, the 256 actual radial. So we're going to make just a little bit of a turn. once we get up here to the Paradise VOR 256 radial, and then to intercept the localizer, and the localizer is 111.75. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in here. 111.75. I'm also going to go ahead and plug it in here. 111, you know, redundancy, backup. So 111. I'm going to go ahead and switch that one over. So that will show up down here once it becomes live. Right now it's not, we don't have it, we're too far out. But now we've got the frequencies all dialed in, because we are going to go back into IMC conditions here, looks like, for a little bit. In and out of the clouds. 25 miles out of Paradise VOR. So I'm going to go ahead and... So we're going to be making a right turn. 196 is the inbound course for the ILS, for the Instrument Landing System approach here into John Wayne Orange County Airport. So everything's looking good. Here we go, coming out of the clouds again. Take a look at the scenery. Oh yeah, nice. Type of looks like a reservoir over here. You can see the dam and all that, probably for fresh water for the LA area, the LA basin. Just taking a look at scenery. Yeah, just beautiful. We're going to be coming right over March Air Base, so that should be right off the nose here. And again, if I was flying a modern aircraft, we would have GPS and all that showing up. But we're not. We're doing old school, the old steam radio stacks and all that. So that's why it takes a... We don't have all this. We're using the paper chart over here. We're using the paper chart over here. And then we're using our aeronautical abilities. So definitely coming into the LA basin now. We've kind of really cleared the mountains, or at least most of the mountains. Like I said, we should be almost going just right over. It looks like I've got a light over here I see flashing right over there. This might all be part of the base here. So, oh, it's definitely old school there, Char. Yeah, this is what I learned, how I learned to fly. So I really enjoy the old school navigation and instruments in Microsoft Flight Sim. So yeah, right here you can see the ramp and the tarmac for the base coming right above the nose there. So we'll take a look at that. Let's go ahead and jump back in the cockpit and make sure everything is healthy. 8,000 feet. I want to keep some altitude as we come over the base here. Actually, probably just right over the base is when we'll start our descent down to, and again, we're descending down to, on the approach plate, 3,500 feet is what we are going to do. We could probably even do that after we get to Paradise. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a look, see if I see any type of terrain or anything like that, and I don't see anything that's of too much concern. So we're going to go ahead and come down to 3,000. Now normally you would have air traffic control telling you when to step down, but we're doing this all ourselves and all that. So all right, 15 miles out. Yep, here's the base right below us. They usually have in the real world, if you look, they have like huge cargo planes. That's why that tarmac is so big, for all the loading and stuff that they have to do on the big military transport planes. Let's go ahead and go back in the cockpit. Let's go ahead and get ready here for our descent. So in about 3 miles here, we're going to start our descent down to 3,500. No, yes, 3,500 feet. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get set up here for descent. So I'm going to go ahead and come back to 2,000 RPMs. I'm going to come back on the old prop. As you said, I'm just going to go ahead and get set up for our descent. Go ahead and synchronize the props here. Sounds pretty good, looks pretty good on the old instruments. 11 miles out, back in IMC. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and start bugging. 3,500, popped out of the clouds there I see, but I'm looking over here. Alright, 3,500 is bugged. And now we are gonna go ahead and start our descent. All right, nice descent here. We got 4 minutes. So we're good at this descent rate right here. Getting down to 3,500. So we got 4 minutes to paradise, so we can actually don't have to descend so steep. So we'll do 500 feet per minute in the descent. Nice easy descent here. I mean, 500 feet per minute, we got 3 minutes, so that'll give us 1,500, so we're at what, 7,500, so we need to go down 4,000, but we're not intercepting until after paradise, so I think we'll be okay right here at this descent rate for right now. So we'll go ahead and keep it at 500 feet per minute. Oh, we're not really at 500 feet per minute now, are we? There we go. Alright, since we're going to be getting into some traffic, let's go ahead and turn on. Oh, landing lights are. Let's go ahead and turn the landing lights on. There we go. Landing lights are. They're coming out. You see them coming out right there. Out of the wingtips. And now. There we go. Landing lights are on. Also, when we were doing that, I noticed that we've captured here the ILS, and again the ILS inbound is 196. So I'm gonna go ahead and dial that in. So 196 right there. So we got 4 miles until we get to paradise. So I'm gonna go ahead and go on heading mode and hold this heading right here. And remember, when we come out here, we want to actually head 256 on the outbound, which is just like a 4 degrees from what we want to be going right here. So just a couple degrees over there, and then we'll go ahead and switch on our. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's amazing right there. That is amazing. Still descending down. Everything is looking good. Engines are healthy. We're coming down in our descent. Alright, 2 miles to go. Alright, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to. So we want to be outbound on the 256. So I'm just going to come in here. So that right there is about 256. So with a little bit of wind that we've got, so just a little bit of a turn here. You'll see that orange needle start to recenter and stuff. But we're coming in here, so I'm just gonna go 1, 2, 3, maybe about right there. There it goes. It's off because we're right above it. It'll pop back on here in just a moment. There it goes. All right, go ahead and work on getting that. So we're good there. We're out now. We're outbound on the heading that we want to be, but now we're going to go ahead and intercept the ILS. So I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to 111.75 here. There we go. And now I'm going to set this to 196, which is the inbound heading for the ILS. I'm going to go ahead and also go ahead and get us into a steeper descent here. Make sure we're at 350 here when we get down here. We're 21 miles out from the ILS, and it looks like it's somewhere about 17 miles out. when we start to intercept. So what you're watching for now is, if you come down here, if you look, we're still going to watch this. This is the localizer for the runway to be centered, and then these triangles right here, that's actually the glide slope, the angle. But we are in IMC here. We're back in the cloud, so that is why we have these instruments, and that's why we're doing all this. All right, I'm going to go ahead and come on back on the power. Slow down just a little bit. We can go ahead and let the props bite a little bit harder. Bring in some RPMs here. There we go. Get some RPMs back. Alright, descending on down here to 3,500. That's 1,000 feet to go. Remember, we're going down to 3,000 feet. And what we're really watching for is that needle right there. Should start to move here pretty soon. And when it does, we're in heading mode. We can just go ahead and use heading mode. So as soon as that needle starts to move, we're going to go ahead and have auto here make us a turn to the left. There it goes, starting to move. Let's go ahead and tell auto, start to make that turn, auto. There we go. All right. Gonna go ahead and slow us on down here. We are also leveling out. Auto's got us leveled out at 3,500. All right, I'm going to go ahead and go on to approach mode. So now auto's going to not only left and right, but also the glide slope, the angle in. So we're looking good there. We are 15 miles out, so let's go ahead and go in this mode. I'm going to go ahead and bring on the gear. Gear's coming down. Looking good. Gear's down. Let's go ahead and get set up early. It's called, being ahead of the airplane. That's what we want to do. We want to be ahead of it. Coming out of the clouds here. Straight ahead, you probably start to see some runway lights here pretty soon, maybe. For John Wayne, Orange County Airport. Well, we kind of still got some weather here. We're about a little less than 14 miles out. Everything is looking good in the neighborhood. We're actually going to start our descent here. You can see those triangles coming down right here. Once those get right here, we should go on to intercept the glide slope. And auto now will take us down on the descent profile. So we'll see, make sure that happens. We're just going to make sure, watch over here, make sure that auto does that for us. Right now we're still maintaining 3,500. And there we go, intercepted the glide slope. Autopilot has switched over to glide slope. We'll start our descent now. Alright, because we're a little slow here, I'm going to go ahead and put in 1 notch of flaps. Adding a little bit of power. Alright. Alright, I see approach, I see glide slope on here. So we are descending down. Landing lights are on. Gear is down. You can see the flaps. We got some flaps. Still can't see anything. Nope, we are completely in IMC right now. We are shooting the ILS approach into John Wayne, Orange County Airport. Just under 10 miles to go. Looking good in the neighborhood. Engines look good. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go full rich here. We're way high. I'm not sure. I think Otto has left the building here. We'll see if he corrects here. He's in 1,000 feet per minute descent. Well, we're coming out of the clouds, so we should be able to see then here. Yep, the airport straight ahead. All right. I am going to go ahead and dial in one more notch of flaps. Autopilot's coming off my airplane. I don't like what Auto did there. We're way too high here. But airport in sight. Here comes the glide slope. Trim, 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 as Blanco Lirio would say. Trim, trim, trim. Still a little high. Trim, trim, trim. Looking good. We're still, like I said, 1,000 feet per minute, so we're coming down way too fast for normal. But airport's looking good. Let's see what we've got here. I got 2 red, but there we go. Now we're intercepting the glide slope. We're on localizer. Everything's looking good. Alright, for that, I'm going to go ahead and, in case we need to do a go around, go full RPMs. Looking real good. It's my airplane. You can see how much I'm moving the yoke, because you can see it as I'm flying it here on the Xbox Series X controller. We're looking real good here. All right, a little low now. I got 3 red there. Also, I can see it on the ILS. So just a little bit of a pitch up. Trim, trim, trim. There you go, huh? Oh, here you go. There you go. That's that view. That's pretty cool. All right, a little low. Oh, 4 red. All right, let's get that nose up here. Speed looks good. I was doing some view stuff, so. All right, everything's looking good. I like the descent. It's all good. A bit of trim, trim. Still at blue line. We're good there. Looking good in the neighborhood. Let's try to give you a little. We'll give you a nice easy landing here. 2-0 right. Oh no, that was about. Oh, that's a bad landing. That's an Uncle Mike bad landing right there. Oof, that was not my best. That was not my best by any means. All right, we're gonna go ahead. I don't want to eat up my brakes. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll to the next one here, because parking's right over there to the right. So, all right, add some brakes here. Add some brakes. There we go. Get off, clear the runway here. We come to a stop. There we go. Get back in the cockpit. Let's go ahead. We really don't need, but just for, let's go ahead and turn off the landing lights or taxi lights. Turn those on. Turn off the landing lights. Retract those back in. Go ahead and bring up the flaps. Flaps are now coming up. See the flaps coming up there. Everything is looking good. So we're clearly active. And we're going to go park. Well, there's a lot of airplanes here. We're just going to go park straight ahead right here. Yeah, we'll go park over here. Looks good. Now we just got that little nose light there for taxiing. We'll come right over here by this, looks like a little like Piper Cherokee. And a little Cessna, looks like a 152 or something right here. There we go. We'll just park right next to them, huh? There we go. All right, with that, let's go ahead and turn off lights. There we go. We'll come out here. Go and kill the, there we go. So welcome to John Wayne Orange County Airport. Nice flight from 29 Palms, California over here to Santa Ana, California in the Cessna 310 on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 on the Xbox Series X. So yeah, that was a fun little flight. Wanted to do that. Wanted to get a little bit of a live stream going, get some other content going up there. Doing a lot of fun stuff online. Microsoft Flight Sim, other games we're playing here on the Xbox Series X. Doing camping in real life. Playing Dungeons and Dragons online too, and all that fun stuff that's going on. So yeah, so if you do, please. Cool, Char. Well, thanks for joining me. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like it because it can be like a podcast. I know I've mentioned that before. You know, we can go up in a plane. We can fly for, like we did here, fly for, you know, just a little over an hour or so, or do a longer flight, and you can sit up in the cockpit and you can talk about whatever you want. So it really kind of is double duty for me, and I really, really enjoy it. I enjoy you coming along, Char. So thank you. And with that, I'll say click that like button if you do. Subscribe if you haven't. Comment, share. Come join me in chat in a future live stream. And with that, I will say thumbs up to, hey, thumbs up too, because you are amazing. Didn't really do that this whole time. So, yep, take care, Char. See ya. Bye, because I'm your favorite YouTuber's favorite uncle. And Uncle Mike. Good night, everybody. Bye. All right, well, that Cessna 310 performed excellent. Didn't have very good landing. Hit a little hard bounce and all that, but you know, I'm from South Carolina. That's how we land out here.